The Republican Party continues its slide and attack on democracy. Donald Trump is actually saying right now that he wants to weaponize the Justice Department to attack his political opponents. He is saying that the Justice Department should be like any other cabinet agency, and that he owns the Justice Department and can go after anyone that he disagrees with. And if this occurs, it is the end of democracy as we know it. The country is completely over. We're done. If this happens, we have become Russia and Trump has become Putin. Trump will turn the Justice Department into an attack dog, and he wants to make the Justice Department the Department of Political Payback. Corruption will run wild if this happens, because everyone will be afraid to criticize the president because he can send his attack dogs at justice after them. The U.S. Treasury will become Trump's personal piggy bank, and a Republican war on accountability will make sure that nobody can stop corruption from happening. I cannot underscore how serious this is. And Donald Trump is a threat to the future of this country. Donald Trump said just the other day he will go after President Biden if he's reelected and his family. And he will get rid of all post-Watergate reforms that were meant to restrain autocrats after what we saw with President Richard Nixon and Watergate. Donald Trump said, quote, "I will appoint a real special prosecutor to go after the most corrupt president in the history of the United States, Joe Biden, and the entire Biden crime family. I will try to obliterate the deep state." Okay, what this really means is that Donald Trump will turn his Department of Justice into a corrupt arm of retribution. That he will go after political opponents, whether there is evidence or not. Evidence is no longer required. Truth is no longer required. What is required is that everyone be subservient to the grand dictator Donald Trump. It's scary enough that Trump wants to do this. But he's not alone. Ron DeSantis, he also rejects the norms at the Justice Department and doesn't believe the Justice Department can be independent. He said, quote, "Republican presidents have accepted the canard that the DOJ and FBI are, quote, independent. They are not independent agencies. They are part of the executive branch, the answer to the elected president of the United States." Now, we all know Ron DeSantis wanted his private militia in Florida to go after his opponents. And he would take that same dictatorial, authoritarian view to the White House. So this attack on the rule of law isn't just Donald Trump. It's now become a Republican point of view, which means that we can no longer have Republicans elected to the White House. It's simply too dangerous. We are now in the danger zone. That if Republicans are elected to the highest office, democracy as we know it will cease to exist. And that's very scary because the country is so divided right now. And I don't think a lot of people, a lot of even conservatives, realize what they are getting us into. Because if a conservative can use the Department of Justice to attack, so can a liberal president in the future. But they don't think of it that way. Everything is for political gain in the moment, and they do not understand the danger of this. If a Republican is elected and they destroy law and order, I mean, the best bet is to move out of this country, to get out of America, because you're not going to recognize America. It's going to be all about the whim of the dictator. Whether you get in trouble or not, whether your children end up behind bars, the whim of the dictator, that is the opposite of what the founders of our country intended. We are so divided right now, and one party is trying to take us to the dark ages, and the other party has Enlightenment values. Which side are you on? You need to decide now, before it's too late. You need to speak out now before they steal your voice. You need to stand up now before they make you sit down against your will, because that is what the modern Republican Party is all about. It is authoritarian and dictatorial and against everything that we know the founders of this country intended. Now, the founders weren't perfect, obviously. I mean, slavery. But the ideals were there, and they didn't live up to them. But they created a framework where we can gain rights, civil rights, women's rights, LGBTQ rights, etc., and work towards that. And we were seeing progress since the civil rights movement. And the Republicans, they want to drag us back. And I say we need to stand up and prevent that from happening and save this country while we can.